Hey everyone, welcome back to Keeping Up with the Chaldeans. We're doing a virtual show today with the very versatile Steve Acho. He's in the music business, the tech business, and any other business a weirdo would be involved in. Steve, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Good to have you, bud. So why don't we get into talking a bit about who is Steve Acho and where is Steve Acho today, and some of the talents that Steve Acho has.
And Steve Acho, the entity.
Yeah, right. Well, where am I today? I'm holed up at home like everybody else in the world. That's an easy question to answer, right?
Yep.
When you say an entity, that actually makes more sense. I think I'm one of those weirdos, and I say that in kind of a proud way.
Yeah.
But I'm one of those people that, I go to a cocktail party and somebody says, "What do you do?" And, I should have the easiest answer in the world because I know that's coming, but I never did. So I consider myself too broad to be categorized. I'm not really an expert in any one thing. I do lots of things, and it's what I like. I mean, I feel like if I was the world-renowned expert in one thing and I was just doing that one thing, I wouldn't be very happy and fulfilled. So I like to do different things and keep both sides of my brain going, I guess. So I have these different hats that I wear, and I have different businesses that I'm in. So one of them is my partner and I, for about 10 years, have a technology consulting and staffing company. Mm-hmm. Totally separate from that, I've authored a couple books, and
what are the books?
Consulted for companies. I can't remember if you guys knew this. I lived in Japan for a number of years, and I did my MBA there. Wow. And I speak Japanese, so I used to work as a Japanese translator and interpreter, and then I wrote a book on how Westerners can do effective business with Japanese, and I ended up doing seminars and consulting for CEOs. Of course, I've just always done music. It's been a passion. I'm a total hack, so I've never taken a music lesson. I don't know how to read music.
Really?
I'm not like my friend Mark Casa, who is incredibly not only gifted and very talented because he's worked hard on it, but I'll ask him about, he knows the technical music theory and all that stuff that I don't know. I wouldn't pass a third grade music class. So I've just always done it, right? I have a good ear. I have an ear for language. I have an ear for, I can imitate accents, you know what I mean? So I started imitating singers and sounds on the piano, and I've just been doing that for a long time. And luckily, I was one of the very early adopters of all the, remember back when Napster just turned the music industry on its head, and we went from, buying physical stuff, cassette CDs, to now you can download one song, but you're actually stealing. And I had the mindset of I didn't like that, of course. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is stealing, but at the same time, I just made the decision at that point because it was never what I did for a living. So I just thought my music will always be everywhere. People want to hear music. So anywhere people steal, buy, download, stream, whatever they want to do with music, that's where my music's going to be. I don't care. TikTok, Napster, anywhere, right? I'm on probably 30 different platforms, and I've never heard of 20 of them other than I get checks from them. So it's awesome. I'm glad to be able to do that. So I think because I adopted that quickly and right away, I was on these platforms before anybody else. In the year 2002, maybe, or I don't remember what year it was, people were like, your music is on iTunes? I mean, it was like they thought you had to be famous for that to happen. It would be like 30 years ago saying, I have a CD.
Right.
Wow. People would go, my friend's kid is in a band. They have a CD. Wow, that's really credible.
Yeah.
Anybody could make a CD, right? You could burp into a microphone and record it, and now you have a CD. It doesn't mean it's good. Well, that's kind of worked to my advantage because when somebody stumbles on your music in any country, when they're on iTunes or any of these places, you're almost credible just because your name's there.
Yeah.
So I would do a cover song, and because nobody was looking for me, especially not outside of Michigan or in another country, and they'd be looking for a Coldplay song, let's say. So I have this piano singing acoustic version of a Coldplay song. they would check it out because one, there weren't 50 versions of it. There were like Coldplay, me, and maybe one other person who actually was famous, right? Yeah. So then I built up an audience over that time. And I think now it's a little bit trickier because, you know, if Taylor Swift comes out with a new song tomorrow, every 16-year-old girl with a phone and a guitar is going to be sitting on her bed and singing it on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
1,000. 20 years ago, when Coldplay or, you know, some famous band came out with a new song and you wanted to hear that song or buy that song, it was like you had two choices, that band and maybe one other, and maybe me.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
So as an example, like one of the songs that, you know, paid my mortgage for many years on iTunes is Hallelujah. Now, I didn't write Hallelujah. It's a Leonard Cohen song. It's been covered 300 or 400 times, just that I know of, right, on iTunes. But mine has been like top 10 or 15 for years.
That's
just
amazing.
Because I was one of the earlier people to do it, so it just, you know, came up to the top. So
what would your advice? What would your advice be to someone trying to break in or get into that arena or the industry? So you had a different path, right? What do you see today? Like, what's the path today of least resistance?
Well, least resistance. Well, I think first of all, you really have to define in detail what you want and what would be ideal for you. So a lot of people will say, hey, will you talk to my kid? My kid wants to do music. And I say, sure. I've met with so many people and I say, what do you want to do? And they basically say, I want to be famous. Right? So it's not that they're passionate about music. It's
right.
They just want attention. So I say, well, blow up the building.
Yeah, there you go.
And they're like, no, not that. And I say, okay, well then, if you want to be famous, then like you just have to decide what it is that.
What do you want to be famous for?
For you.
Yeah.
Right. And so like for me, I'm a total oddball, and I'm so happy to be this kind of oddball. But I was just recording with a friend of mine the other day. And I'm just getting into TikTok. I was resisting it for a really long time, but now I see the value for musicians. I'm not a person who I want everyone to notice. I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be viral. I don't want people to know my name. I just sell songs. That's what I say.
Yeah.
I just sell songs, right? I have 50 million people that are buying my songs. They don't have to know what I look like or who I'm dating or what I ate yesterday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like I've known, he was showing me these incredible singers on YouTube. This beautiful girl, two really good looking guys in the band. They are phenomenal musicians, like top level Nashville. They put out a video last week, a cover song, super well done, audio, video, 1 million views in a week. I go on Spotify, I probably have 110 times the sales that they do. And they're incredible.
Yeah,
really.
And when I go on my YouTube, I probably have 1 million views across all of my videos for 10 years. Nothing.
Right.
So sometimes it seems that there are a few people who are famous and rich, but then most of what I've seen from people that I know personally, and I know their business, and I know how many people know them, and I actually know their bank account, I really see this like you can be rich or you can be famous. And you kind of have to decide, like one doesn't mean the other.
Right.
So I'm lucky enough that I'm not famous. If you looked at any of my social media, it's not impressive. Like if some young girl on Instagram is like, you know, hoping to be a Kardashian.
Yeah.
And stumbles on any of my social media, my Facebook music page or anything, they would immediately assume like, this guy's not popular at all. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm not popular, I'm not famous, I'm not known, which is fine. There's thousands of people, not tens of thousands of people that would know me. But in terms of the actual business, which is people buying and streaming songs, I have, you know, I'll have a new song coming out, I think next Thursday. It'll be released worldwide. Something like 25,000 people who asked for it just on one platform, just on Spotify. We'll get an email saying, Steve Acho has a new song, click here. Here's the album cover, you're going to love it.
What's the new song?
What's that?
What is it? What's the new song?
Oh, that's the one I just recorded last week, which is a parody. It's called Quarantini Christmas.
Oh, boy.
Christmas. So it's already on YouTube. If people want to see it, it's free to watch it. You don't have to buy or download the song.
So, Steve, Question
I
for
just
you.
filmed it the other day. So what's that?
Where does your inspiration come when you do these little parodies or when you do these songs all these years? Like what inspires for those songs?
For writing songs?
Yeah, what's the inspiration that you're getting that does this for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. It depends on what I'm writing. Like a lot of times when I'm in just the singer-songwriter mode, someone will say something and I'll have a thought and I'll go, that's a good song lyric. Just have a thought. Or someone will say something and I'll go, that. So I remember I wrote a song, oh my God, like 15 years ago. And it was called Nobody Loves You Like You Do. And I was talking to this girl and she was just, one of those girls that just loves herself and was telling me how popular she is. And she's like, and then I met these guys and of course they loved me. And in my mind, as she's saying it, I'm thinking, nobody loves you like you do.
Right at all.
And then so after that, all I'm hearing is Charlie Brown's Teacher, right? Like, wah, wah, wah,
yeah.
And I'm like, that's a great line. So I wrote an entire song based on me having a thought of that one line. And it just won't get out of my head until I do it, right? So sometimes it's funny stuff. Sometimes it's silly stuff.
Yeah.
I wrote a funny song that it tends to be my most
What's her name?
popular. What's that?
What's her name?
Monica. I'm not going to say the last name. It's funny. That's great. I'm going to out somebody at the end of that.
Right.
To what you said right now, just to add into it, some of the best music has been written by that mindset of what you said. Like artists that I used to deal with back in the days, we used to mess around a lot of Pearl Sounds over in Canton. It was Chaldean owned part of it. So now that Chuck's over there, but that what I used to see is what you're talking about. They would what we'd call punchlines. They would take these. Write the punchlines down on a whole notebook, and then from there they'd create songs off of bits and pieces from punchlines and work them into these songs. So it sounds like you do that too.
Speaking of punchlines, so one other kind of song that I write that for some reason, this one I'm good at. Like I've written a lot of songs, but anybody can write a song. It doesn't mean you're special. It's all a matter of whether it's a good song, right?
Yeah.
So just because I write songs doesn't mean they're all good. But the ones that tend to be the best are the parody types. Like one of the things I do, there's an agency in California that books me, and they actually book keynote speakers for huge events, right? So they're booking, everywhere across the country, across the world. They're booking, ex-presidents, best-selling authors, Richard Branson for $100,000 for a 20-minute lecture, right? That's their business.
Yeah.
Well, they book me along with these people to come out, and the way they sell me is not singer-songwriter, he's got a great voice. There's a million people, and go to Vegas, there's 1,000 people in one zip code that are great singers and songwriters, right? So the way they book me is they say, he's going to write a funny custom song just for your event. So what I'll do is I'll have a call with like the executive team, and I'll take notes, and in about 15 minutes, probably takes me 15 minutes to get all the info I need. What can I make fun of the CEO? What can I say? What's an inside joke that all 800 employees would know? And they'll tell me like weird stuff about, like there was an executive a couple of years ago that still carried a beeper, right?
Yeah.
That's a weird, funny thing, but outside people wouldn't know that. So it's like all these punchlines are inside jokes, right?
Yeah.
So these punchlines would come to my head, and it would take me 15 minutes to get the info. And honestly, I could write a funny song in probably 5 minutes, and it was done.
We gotta get you to do one on.
Send it to him.
We gotta get you to do one on about keeping up with the Chaldeans, and
sure. Absolutely.
the two wacky hosts.
Just get some info and So those are the inspiration for those are easy because all of them. You use the perfect word. It's just like, what are the punchlines?
Yeah.
Right around those. You know?
And you nailed with the parody. It's a big thing to nail in this country. People tend to like humor, even if it's within their own favorite president or their own restaurants or whatever. Like you're saying, right? If you think about it, what made Weird Al Yankovic?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The guy was a hit off of making stuff off of Michael Jackson and all these other people.
Brilliant.
He blew up wide open.
Brilliant.
He blew that market wide open, and he came with it.
Well, and I don't know how many people know how the law works, but for cover songs, what's called covers. So if I decide to record a Taylor Swift song and release it, I don't need Taylor Swift or her publishing company's permission. I can just go do that.
Really?
But when the song sells or streams, I have to pay royalties on it, right? Which is fine. It just happens automatically. But when you do a parody, like Weird Al,
Yeah.
you have to get upfront permission. And there are people that turn Weird Al down.
Oh, really? You have to
Prince
get permission
never-
for that, huh?
Absolutely. In fact, so my most popular song, remember the Carrie Underwood song, Before He Cheats? Maybe next time he'll think before he cheats.
Yeah.
So I wrote like a rebuttal to that song from the male perspective.
Yeah.
So if you listen to the words, she's like, right now he's probably shooting pool with her. Right now he's probably, and I'm like, man, she did a lot of crazy shit just on probably, right?
Yeah.
Like she carved her name in the seats and all this stuff. And so I did this whole like parody using that, and it ended with, maybe she'll go to jail for stalking me, right?
Yeah.
Maybe she'll go to jail for stalking. So I played this song at DTE in front of, I don't know how many thousands of people.
Yeah.
And then I'm up selling CDs, and I never recorded that song because I wasn't allowed to. I
Oh.
contacted the publishing company. I sent them the lyrics. They said, nope. I'm like, oh, come on. And I went through some of my contacts in Nashville. I said, does anybody know Carrie Underwood's publishing people? No. So I never got it. So I still play it in places, but everyone is like, where do I buy that song? I'm like, damn it, the biggest hit.
So-
I'm not allowed to record it.
So it's not on
So you
YouTube.
can turn it off already. What's that?
So you do not have it on YouTube. It's not on YouTube anywhere.
I think I did it at a concert and somebody recorded it with their phone.
Yeah.
So you might, Steve Acho parody,
T-
Carrie Underwood parody or something. Somebody else did it. So
Okay.
like,
But don't they sometimes like
Yeah.
that? Doesn't that to like, for example, with like you're saying because of copyright restrictions, isn't that something that like the algorithm with YouTube will find it and actually shut it down because they're hearing the music from another artist and then or how does that work?
I don't think they're that sophisticated yet.
Got you.
To be able to do that.
Good.
Now, if I was sampling her music, like if I took the actual song
Yep.
and stripped her vocals and put mine in, it would probably be caught right away. But you know what? They have too much to do. I mean, to be honest, there's something called synchronization rights. So I can cover whatever song I want, but technically, if I do a video, any video,
Yeah.
along with a song that I don't own, that's not legal.
Yeah. That's why Instagram shuts us down.
What's that?
That's why Instagram shuts it down. Like if I'm having music playing sometimes and the music's playing on my actual timeline, they remove it and say this is violation of whatever you're using music or whatever. It's not. So unless you use their story where they're giving the royalties off the storyline where you can pick a song, because the royalties, like you said, streaming will go to them, but they don't let us use them.
So I think what you can do is release a song, let's say on YouTube. Like I could cover a song and then just put the album cover on there, but no video. Because the idea behind, in their defense, it's like, it's no different than using Ford Motor Company's logo, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's their intellectual property. If I'm sitting here talking to you guys and I have a Ford logo behind me and I start saying offensive stuff, they don't want to be associated with that,
Right.
So people are going to be anti-Ford because one idiot decided to do that. That's the same thing, right? It's their intellectual property. So I agree with, kind of releasing that. What I disagree with is some 16-year-old girl sitting on her bed playing a guitar and singing Taylor Swift, like, that's a nod to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that doesn't take anything away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's not like pitching a product that's anti-Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So technically, all those people are breaking the law.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know how they would have a lot of work to do to shut everybody down.
Yep. You've done some stuff within our community. I believe, didn't you do a comedy show one time with was it Paulie or who hosted it and you were there and doing a parody there, right?
Yeah, there's a few. So there's probably like 3 or 4 Chaldean parodies that I did. So one of them we did Chaldean Idol.
There you go.
Years and years ago.
Yep.
It's a singing competition, and I was like the musical interlude, or I was one of the judges, and then the musical interlude while they were counting up the ballots. Whoa, that's a hot topic. Sorry. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have
Ding,
to
ding.
recount the ballots. They just did it once.
They had
But,
Chaldean
so-
poll
so I
watchers
did a
there, no
song.
worry.
I think that one was. Yeah, right. I didn't have one. There are not enough people that know about that, so maybe your cousin does. But I did one called "Sweet Home West of Bloomfield," and then Mojo had me on the radio to sing that one, and then he's played that for years. And then I did one. Do you guys know the one Fakhri? I have a relative named Fakhri, and there's it was a song about how difficult it is to go through airports as a Middle Easterner after 9/11.
Yeah.
And it was like, so I sang it with an accent. So this one's actually on iTunes, and it's on YouTube and everything. But so anyways, it's called Fakhri. So people thought that was my name for a while. I would go to the gym. People go, Fakhri. I'm like, no. This is how I talk. I did a few. And then there was the Chaldean comedy show.
Yep.
That, Pauly and a lot of other just phenomenal people were involved in. So yeah, I did some silly stuff there too.
So question for you. The hardest thing that in the music industry is your breakthrough, right? So it's trying to teach the newcomers the patience to have, and it's almost like it's your B income until it becomes your A income. How do you stand in the arena long enough to get from B to A without falling apart and saying, shit, I'm done, man. I put all into it. I'm burned out.
Well, I think it's a very good question, and the answer to that is exactly the same as someone who has a real job and says, I want to start a side business.
Real job.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're asking me about music is really no different. You could be wanting to start a popcorn company or a startup that helps accountants with software.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, like when I advise people and people ask for my advice, my business mind is always the same. The fact that you're in entertainment doesn't matter too much.
Mm-hmm.
You just start at the end. You start with what you want, first of all, right? Like, there are 100 ways to make money in the music industry. You can be a great producer. You can be a great just songwriter who doesn't even know how to sing or play an instrument. I know some of these people, they make a lot of money. You could be a great, just provide beats.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many ways. There's so many versions of talent that first you have to decide what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing from going from B to A is I think you have to love the B so much that it almost doesn't matter whether you get to A.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think that's part of it. Because whatever, I don't care what you're trying to do. You're trying to lose weight. There's going to be days you don't want to go to the gym. You're trying to build a business. There's going to be plenty of days where you're going to be like, this sucks. Why am I doing this? And if you don't love what you're doing, then it really doesn't matter. You can't just do something because you want to make it your A income.
Sure.
But otherwise, I think it's just once you know specifically what you want to get paid to do, my best advice is always to, I think it was Jerry Garcia, Grateful Dead, that had this great quote. He said, don't be the best, be the only.
Mm.
And the way that I apply that to business products and services is I talk about stacking skills, right? So a good example of that is Scott Adams, who's the creator of Gilbert. He is, actually, here's a better example. John Grisham, the author John Grisham, who has those legal thrillers.
Mm-hmm.
So he's an attorney, right? Like, he went to law school, he practiced law. I don't know if he's the best attorney. I'm sure he's a decent attorney, but he's an attorney. He's not the best. He's also an author. I have no idea if he's the best author, but he's absolutely stacked those two skills. And if you say, who's the best legal thriller author, there's not even another person that comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I think of when I think of a product or a business. So for me, because I know that what I get creative and professional fulfillment out of in music, I'm lucky enough that it also makes me money,
Mm-hmm.
is two things that I'm good at. So I can do funny stuff,
Yep.
I can write music, and I can perform music. So I combine those together. And all of a sudden, it's like when I think of this company pitching me to some, huge company that's doing a $500,000 event for one day, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're renting out this huge place in Vegas. Why me? Am I the best singer? No way. Best piano player, best performer? Not any of that. But how many people, right? Like when you say, what is the going rate for someone who plays piano and sings?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's all over the place. $150 to $2,000 if it's, someone famous. I don't know. But what's the going rate for someone who's going to interview you, create a custom song for you that everyone sings along to and will remember for the next 10 years and create a memory?
Mm-hmm.
There's no one else I know that's pitching that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like, it's not that I'm the best. I just stack these skills together, and now I'm kind of the only one saying that.
Yeah.
So that's how I think of if you want to be, even if you want to be famous, which is not my goal at all. And it's also what makes it hard, because my genre of music is acoustic renditions of, you know, like soulful acoustic renditions of originals and also popular songs. Well, guess who else does that? Everyone. So I would tell Mark Cassa I would rather have his kind of music, because it's not for everyone. Most people don't like the kind of music that he plays, but guess who does? 10% of the population, which is hundreds of millions of people. I would rather be him, you know, because he's a big fish in a smaller sea. So that, I think it's a matter of like finding the smaller sea, and, you know, so getting from B to A is like getting better at knowing what your audience loves about what you do, and getting better at being you, right? Whatever the product.
So Steve Acho, the entity, how is Steve Acho, the entity, legally organized?
So I just have one company. It's called Acho Resources International. Nobody really knows the name.
Okay.
But I have different sources of income. So I have a couple companies, like I said, the IT business. I've written a couple books, and so Amazon pays me through that company. I do consulting, and I just invoice, and then they pay through that company. I have 3 or 4 different music distributors. So every month, all of the sales come in, and then they put it in my business checking account, and kind of all comes in the same place. The truth is, the government really doesn't care what you do for a living as long as you pay taxes. So I could be a consultant / candy store owner, and it wouldn't matter as long as I'm accounting for everything. You know? So I just when someone says, "What does a typical day look like?" I can't even answer that, because it just depends on what's going on that week. You know.
And so on the accounting side, does your accountant did your accountant recommend you to? Is it an LLC that you started, and then
it's an S corp?
S corp.
I can't remember why. Yeah, I just follow his advice. I can't remember why. A lot of it, you know, I have a lot of, to be honest, a lot of these little side things that I only do every once in a while, but it gives me a really good write-off. So, for example, 2 or 3 times a year, I'm in a commercial, or I'm modeling clothing or something. And so that allows me to go buy clothes whenever I need it for my wardrobe. Right. So it's like stuff like that. So my account basically says, like, you shouldn't even be buying a cup of coffee and not writing it off, which is great.
Right.
That's the
for
advantage
sure.
of doing all these different things, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yep.
Well, is there anything we?
So like every you know,
Is there anything we left out that you want to mention? It's steveacho.com. Go there just to see what Steve can help you with. Steve's here to help, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you want to know more about anything I'm doing, or books or music, just steveacho.com is the best way to see what the heck I'm doing. And then I'm happy to connect people on LinkedIn, and if I can help the community in any way.
Sure.
Help people get jobs or whatever, just connect me at LinkedIn, and I'm happy to help.
What kind of jobs? I know we know, but for the viewers, just so they know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so I find that the guidelines for hiring people and for people getting meaningful work, not just jobs, the conversations you have, the ways that you get jobs, some of the, you know, really, unfortunately, with technology, technology lets us be really efficient, but sometimes we do really stupid things more efficiently. Like we should never have done them in the first place. And so just to give you one example of that, the lowest percentage way to get a job anywhere in the world is to apply for it online. So I'm not saying don't apply for a job, but what I am saying is you have, on average, a 1 in 250 chance of getting a job because you applied for it. So there are better ways to go about it. You know, I talk to people all the time that are high-level CFOs, and they're like, I've applied for 100 jobs and I haven't heard from anyone. I'm like, well, there's a reason for that. It's not your fault, but here's what you have to do. So, you know, I can kind of help people navigate and have better conversations so that companies that really need the right people can find them, and people that really need work, but hopefully meaningful work, not just any work, can find that. So I have a couple videos on that, and I'm just, trying to help people navigate kind of a little bit of a backwards industry that is recruiting in general.
Where can our viewers find these videos?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, okay.
Connect with me on LinkedIn. They're all there. Yep. So I write a weekly blog. It's also on LinkedIn and on where it's all linked from the steveacho.com site.
Okay.
I've been writing a weekly blog for about 3 years now.
Wow.
It's nothing that I monetize. I don't advertise anything. It's all. It's actually a way for me to. I read a lot. I consume a lot. I watch, podcasts and stuff like that. And I don't want to be just a consumer, right?
Yeah.
I want to digest stuff and then use it. So a few years ago, I started writing this blog, and my spec was people have to be able to read it in 20 seconds. So I write all the time, and I release these blogs, and all of them are just perspectives that were really helpful to me. It could be about anything: relationships, business, life, anything, psychology. But they're very short, and I've and I look every once in a while. It's like, oh, there's just 5,000 people subscribed on WordPress and stuff. But I'm not looking to do anything with that other than be helpful. So I'll put it's not so much advice. I hear from people all the time. They say, I really like your motivational posts. Like, the word motivation kind of makes me cringe because it's like, rah, rah, believe in yourself for no reason. I don't like that.
Right.
This is very practical. Like, if you view things this way, you will be an unhappy person. That's science.
Right.
That's not motivation, So anyways, I do that, and I release that on LinkedIn. And so some of them are videos that will help both companies that are hiring hire better and people that are looking for work be able to get jobs. So
good for you.
Happy to help people that need it.
Cool. First thing I'm going to do when we end this interview is go find you on LinkedIn.
Great. Yeah, let's connect, man.
For sure.
Have you seen those people on LinkedIn that do you guys use it?
I do, but not much.
Yeah.
Kind of. Okay.
Yeah.
So I use it. I mean, we have my company has a really expensive subscription to it because it's just a phenomenal tool for finding people, like new business, for when I have to hire people. It's just, there's nothing like it. There's nothing better, I think. But it's funny because some people will connect with me, and there's this acronym. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's LION, LION. Have you seen that? So it stands for LinkedIn Open Networker. And so basically it means I connect with everyone. Look at me. And it's like, I'm not sure you want to announce that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I have a few thousand connections, but I'm not trying to get a few thousand more. It doesn't mean, it's like the value of your connections is the quality of them.
Right.
So every once in a while I get, a connection request from some woman who owns a bakery in Denmark. Like, how am I going to help you? No.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, man.
I'm happy with you.
All right, awesome. So how long will it take you to accept my solicitation to connect with you? If I do
request them?
If I'm busy, 2 hours.
Yeah, okay. All right, my man. Yeah, my man.
If I'm not on it right away, they know what's important.
There you go.
That's it.
Did we miss anything you wanna kind of put out there? You have anything coming up that people need to know about, or just go to steveacho.com and find it there, or connect with you on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, I think either one of those things. I don't have any shows or events coming up, but I am releasing new music every few weeks.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Actually, a couple weeks ago, I just released another song with my friend Gina Irene, who was an American Idol finalist.
Oh, cool.
She was a runner-up, and so we have a couple songs out. So if you're interested in any of the music, you don't even have to go to my website. Just wherever you listen to music, right? Go Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Deezer, whatever it is. If you just look up my name, YouTube, Pandora. All the stuff's there if you're interested in that, and otherwise, happy to connect and help people.
So we close out the show with a final question. It's what does it mean to you to be Chaldean?
7.
No, 6. No. What does it mean to you to be Chaldean?
I'm only going to half answer it.
Okay, yeah. You can explain why, and maybe why don't you do it in Japanese for us?
Ambunga Chukintojin desu.
There you go.
I'm only half Chaldean.
Okay.
So so I'm a camel with one hump. My dad was born in Baghdad and escaped when he was 10, 11 years old. And my mom was born in Michigan. She's Polish. So so I'm half Chaldean, but I have the Chaldean side of my family is much bigger. Like I said, we have about 50 people for Thanksgiving and Christmas in one house.
Mhm.
I guess that's not so big to Chaldeans, but when you say that to Americans, they're like, I don't even know 50 people.
Yeah, right,
So,
right.
that side of the family, like I feel like even though my dad and all his brothers and sisters, nobody married a Chaldean, but I feel like we've done a good job of like keeping a good amount of the culture. You know what I mean? Like not so much the language in my generation, but just the amazing, well, obviously the food, but
Yep.
just the amazing community aspect of it. You know,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, luckily I grew up in an environment where my dad worked really hard, like didn't speak a word of English, yet worked really hard, got straight A's, got a full ride scholarship, got 2 master's degrees. I mean, just worked his ass off.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to grow up the way he did. So I'm super lucky, but I know how he grew up, and he had help from other people, from family members and other Chaldeans.
Yeah.
And so he's always felt, a strong desire. He's helped so many people. And so, he's kind of passed that on to me. It's just a natural thing to do. And not just Chaldeans, obviously. Like, we help our neighbors, right? But it's such a strong part of our community that I love so much. It's just the community aspect of just helping one another,
What's
one
your
person has a problem, everyone comes out and says, help this person.
for sure?
And we fled in to help, So
Yep.
I love that aspect of
What's your pop's first name?
it. Andrew
And-
Acho.
And then you have how many uncles?
Three
Three?
on that side, yeah. So Andrew is my dad. Ron, my uncle Ron is an attorney,
Yep.
and my uncle Roy is a serial entrepreneur. Always has been. He's
Awesome.
the one with the stores and the pizzerias, and he's like the more stereotypical Chaldean.
Chaldean, right,
My dad
right.
worked at Ford Motor Company, and some of them got real jobs.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for all the insight. Thanks for all the value that our viewers are going to get out of this episode, and the future connections that you're gonna make and help and give back to the community. You're an awesome guy. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you soon, brother. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you
Steve.
so much.
Have a
care.
good one, buddy.
Thank you.
Best wishes.
Thank you.